Chat Night Africa Live, about to begin.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming. Coming to get down. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Chat Night Africa Live, Afrocentric solutions to Africa's challenges.
We're gonna dance. We're gonna get down.
Showcasing Africa's touristic luxuriance.
We're gonna party. Party hardy. We're gonna boogie.
The other story of Africa.
And when we jam, it's out of sight. This song right here.
Chat Night Africa Live, about to begin.
I'm ready. I'm coming. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming. Coming to get down. We're gonna get down. We're gonna get down. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance.
Chat Night
I'm
Africa
coming.
Live, about to begin.
Coming to get down. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance. I'm ready. I'm coming. I'm dancing. I'm dancing. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance.
And now, Chat Night Africa Live with Divine Chamuko.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Chat Night Africa. Every week I receive letters from friends and relatives in Africa asking for financial help to do business. Months down the line, they come back for more money. That's because they cannot explain what they did with the first check. These people genuinely want to do business. The problem is they do not have the skills. Yes, I said skills. If you will succeed in business, the truth is you have to have skills. That's the reason for the show this week. Thank you for joining us. When Judith Fang speaks, I listen. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to listen to Judith Fang, our business expert and consultant, attentively and thank me later. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Judith Fang on the platform.
Good evening, everyone.
Judith, thank you for coming on Chat Night Africa to talk business. And in case you haven't listened to this woman before, Judith, I describe her as a moving encyclopedia in matters of business. She's an expert. She is a consultant. Once again, Judith Fang.
Hooray! Hooray! Hooray!
Judith, your opening remarks on the show today.
Good evening, everyone. Again, as Mr. Divine mentioned, my name is Judith Fang, and thank you for all the kind words, but I am just one of them who's also making sure that I share all the information I know, I've gathered over the years, and information I'm still collecting with my community so that together we can get to a place where we can feel comfortable and build generational wealth for our own continent. So that is my main purpose, and every bit of information, as much as we can share with our friends and families and just our community so we can get to a place where we're most comfortable, that would be my goal. At least mine would be satisfied.
Thank you, Judith. Ladies and gentlemen, along the line, we'll be opening the phone lines so you can challenge Judith's ideas or simply ask a question or add to what she has to say. That is, if you do business. I understand that lots of people watching the show are people who also do business. So what are you doing that challenges you or that carries you to success? I'll let you know when you can dial in. Judith, it is widely believed that to do business, to even start, you have to have a business mindset. Part
Correct.
one, my question has several parts. Part one of my question is, what do you mean by having a business mindset? Part two of the question is, how do you get to having a business mindset?
Well, everyone can have a business mindset. There's no specification on what a business mindset should be. Well, primarily, when we talk of business, it just simply means what is it? What is your why? What do you want to do? Are you trying to make a living out of something? A lot of the time, when we think of business, we think of these corporations, we think of these huge industries. But what we don't realize is that we, as walking human beings, almost every aspect of our lives is a business. You have to run your lives like it's a business. What's the goal? What aspect? What are you hoping to achieve? What are you hoping to accomplish? Are you doing? Why do you do what you do? When you start transacting all of your life experiences as a business, you would realize there's no particular mindset. But the mindset in which that the mindset I always tell people they need to be in is you need to do a mindset of, first of all, believing in what it is you want to do in life. What is your why? Believe in yourself. Have confidence in yourself. Be ready to take risks. Understand your environment. Know what it is you want. And primarily, before you do any business, the one and one thing only for everyone to consider is what problem are you trying to solve? What is it you're hoping to accomplish? What solution are you bringing to what issue? That's the only way you can start putting yourself in the correct mind frame so that you can do the work and set up a business for yourself. Because once the motivation to do that business is runs out, what will keep you in business and in that proper mindset is the consistency and the hard work that you would use to apply to your why. So again, we want to make it very simple. I don't like to speak at a 60,000 foot level because all of us need to understand, why do we do what we want to do? What are we hoping to accomplish? What problem am I solving for? When you can answer those questions, then you can start thinking of what plans to take or what your next actions are.
Judith Fang, you say, and that's very important. I got that as a key line in your statements.
Mhm.
What problem are you trying to solve? Why should you do business because you want to solve a problem? How is that relevant?
It's extremely relevant because if you're not solving a problem, then you are definitely not going to have a plan of action. You're probably going to get lost along the way. You can't do business just because you saw someone doing, oh, I see my friend selling shoes. Shoes are really doing well in this country. I want to be able to sell shoes because they are selling shoes. If you just make your plans or your business plans off of somebody else's idea, you will not be able to follow through with it. I'll give you an example. I always like to bring things to a personal level. We have a problem of food, nutrition, healthy nutrition and weight. So I'm in the business of, I believe in multiple sources of income. So I don't believe in just going to work and having a 9 to 5 job or 8 to 5, 8 to 4, depending on wherever you are. So I always believe in everyone being one step away from poverty. If you pull that paycheck away from someone, then you're not going to have something to live on. However, in my case or in my scenario, most of us from the African community, or most of us in my family setting and everything, we struggle with weight. So we've tried all the diet issues, we've tried all the exercises. Many of us cannot stick to any particular routines. So I decided I was going to go into a health business that would teach me how to change my lifestyle, teach me how to eat, teach me how to put the proper things into my body, and teach me what to do so I can learn more about myself. And I know I'm not the only one who has that issue. So first things I did is I partnered with a health business, a health and wellness company that does exactly what I'm looking for. So that's my why. And again, the mindset that I have is I need to be able to solve the problem of weight management that we have in our community. Now, there's many other ways I could go. I could do the exercise route. I also have to know myself. I have to take a way that I think I can stick with. I have to take something that I think is a little bit more realistic and more approachable. Many people eat every day. So if I pick a product or a company or a partner with somebody who does things that we all do, I can solve two problems. I can solve the nutrition problem and I can solve the health and wellness problems and make sure that everybody's keeping themselves within the desired weight that they want in their life. Again, that's my goal. That's my personal goal. One of my personal goals. What is it that you are trying to solve in your area? I know my market. I know my market is people who are 40 years and older. At the very least, these people have in one way or another been depleted of some of the nutrients that they need. And the company I partner with would be able to provide them all of those nutrients along with a healthy lifestyle that they would do. Is that something that's doable by most people? Yes. What is the business aspect I'm bringing into it? Supplementing with the health supplements that I bring into the business. I would help them supplement that health lifestyle. So it's education, it's doing the business, it's also solving a problem of weight and obesity in a way that is more realistic to most of us. So we want to start with things that are normal in our everyday lives and try not to go fetch for things just for fetching. So know why you want to do what you're doing and know what problem it is you're trying to solve.
Here is a letter somebody sent to me, a relative sent to me, and I'm sure that many people, especially in the diaspora, receive letters like the one I just got last week.
Right.
My niece writes to me, Uncle, I want to do business. I said, but why don't you come and listen to Judith Fang first? Because I was thinking about the mindset, having the mindset for business. And her response is, I don't have the capital. Now, capital here means money. Judith, tell me, why is having money not the primordial thing to do or to have in your possession when you're thinking about business?
Because if you give them the money they're looking for and they have no set plan, and again, when I talk of plan, I'm not talking about this elaborate business plan that they have to go and write like someone from a business school. No, it's just, where do you see yourself? What do you plan on doing with it? A lot of the times when they were asking you for the money, did they tell you what they wanted to do with the business, with the money that you were going to provide them? How much money? How did they arrive at the capital that they said they needed? Okay, is it for, oh, what is it that they're doing? A lot of the times people ask for money without even understanding what it is they want to do for a business. I'll give you one of the issues that I find in our country that is a real issue. You have people, this doing business means sometimes you do the things you're passionate about. And yes, that would also be solving a problem. And sometimes it's also doing something that you're extremely good at. You've probably been doing something for years and years and years, and you don't recognize that you're very good at it. But here you are looking for money to go do a whole new business idea that you know nothing of. So the thing about it is you really have to start asking these people, what is it exactly you want to do with the money? If they can't give you a clear cut path on what their thoughts are, if they've even done some small surveys on figuring out what their niche market is or who they're going to market to, how they're going to go about their marketing, have they anticipated any issues? Okay, what's the environment in which they're bringing? Who is their competition, their anticipated competition that they're going to have? It could be the person right next door to them, but do they know that? How do they hope to overcome any of the challenges that we currently have in their situation? So we want to make sure we're asking the people the right questions so that we understand the kind of help that we can give them. A lot of the times, our people, because we're not taught to have a business mindset in our country, we always just think that the difference between us and a successful business person is capital, which is absolutely not true. We got lots of talent. We don't know how we're honing onto that talent. We got lots of ideas. People can't even focus on what idea it is they want to do. They do things because of other people. So we have to start getting them into a mindset of what kind of lifestyle are they. I want to keep going back to, who are you? What is your purpose? What is it you hope to accomplish? Why do you want to solve this problem? When you can talk through a couple of those things, we can actually seek for help in the right areas, find a partner, collaborate with someone, actually find a business mentor for you so you can maybe shadow them for a little bit and understand the business before you actually get into it. So I would suggest we not just rush to dish capital out to our relatives who want to do businesses, but actually have them tell us more about the businesses they're hoping to do. And then we can go from there and decide what it is we want to offer them.
Judith Fang at Chatnet Africa. I have a letter or a text message from Boya, Southwest Region of Cameroon. It's from Abraham Johnson. He sort of tries to push back. Be the best software engineer. If you cannot buy an AutoCAD software and so on, you wouldn't go very far. He's in a way, if I understand him, saying all the knowledge about business in the world wouldn't help you if you don't have the money to start. How do you respond to him?
Well, he's right. In many ways, he's right to a certain extent. Businesses come in different skills, right? You got the small business, you got the mid-sized businesses, and you have the large scale. Certain businesses would require some minimum capital. So if it's the software engineering piece of it that he's interested in, he absolutely would need some kind of capital in order to do it. However, I'll go back to my original ask, which is, what's his market? What is that software engineering piece or structure or innovation or creativity? What is it going to solve? Has he A lot of the times we do things out of excitement. It's something new. Is it going to sell? Have you tested it out there? Who's your market? What's the response you've gotten from maybe surveys or here or there? Where do you see the need for that particular software? If he's done all of those studies, all that market analysis, he's done it for himself, absolutely, he would come back to you. That's someone who would absolutely require some kind of capital. And we can work, and not only we, when I say we, I mean companies that do microfinancing or little fintech companies. An example of that would be the Ovamba with Viola Lewin and her co-partners. They would work with such a company to see where they are as far as their market analysis, as far as their business structure or that they have, and the creativity that's going to be put into that business to see how much they can leverage as far as giving them funding for their business. So not all businesses are the same. Businesses are sized and scaled at different levels. I really always want to come down to a lower level first, because someone like that would already have the works done for him as far as studying what the market is, and we can definitely leverage capital for that person. But we want to make sure that we're focusing on all the others who don't know what to do and make sure that we can get them the right help.
Judith, a few weeks ago, I received a letter from somebody in Nigeria I've never met before. The blessed thing about Chatnet Africa is you're receiving letters from people you've never met. And this young man graduated from secondary school, and that leads me to the next question. He told me, Mr. Nchamukong, I have been running around looking for jobs. I don't have work. He is from very poor parents. Judith, lots of people are like him watching you. Speak to them this evening. That young man who has graduated from high school, that young woman who has graduated from university and cannot find work, how do they go about to make money?
Okay, that's a good thing. Well, in part, it's not their fault. I want to say it's not their fault in part. The kind of education and our background, our societal background in Africa, for the most part, teaches us to be workers. So it teaches us to go to school, come out, and go work for somebody. And it also lets us know if we're not working for somebody, we're not going to make it. The one thing that it doesn't teach us is how to have an entrepreneurial mind, create opportunities for ourselves. So what I would encourage him to do is what I would tell a child of mine, a sister of mine, or even myself if I find myself stranded. One of the things you have to look at you have to look at our community, look at our society. What are the needs? Again, we're back to what does our society need? Agriculture. Agrotechnology is one of the toughest places, the biggest areas in which we can grow in Africa and teach our young folks in which to get in. There's so much opportunity in the agrotechnology space. They may not like it, but that's what our community needs. We need people who know more about agriculture. We need people who know more about nutrition, feed the people, clothe the people, our everyday consumer goods. Those are some of the things we need to start factoring. We need to look at our health in the community. Obviously, if he's from humble backgrounds, he obviously has some challenges. He probably learned a skill or not, or one or two from his parents. What businesses did his parents or family members or people around him, what businesses did they do in order to enable him to get to school? Can he do that? Can he find a small commodity, something like water, and sell water? A lot of the times we come from societies that make us feel like we're too big for certain careers. We spend so much time wanting to work for somebody for 30, 40 years. Whereas if you started small in a small business with that small capital they're seeking from you, they would be able to grow a business on their own, create an opportunity for yourself. He's looking for a job. Has he tried to partner with a local restaurant to see if he could go in there and clean up? What does he know how to do at this time? I know he studied at school, but sometimes you have to go with your practical skills. What skill does he have? Can he sell that skill? It doesn't have to work for someone. Can he volunteer somewhere for a short time where if he can do a couple of things and show what his skills are, he will be able to do it? Can he teach other people? Sometimes we think that business is only the tangible things that you touch, selling a good here or there, or building something. That's what we think is business. Creativity. He can decide and form a little group and say, you know what, let me teach you guys something. Tutoring. Has he thought about tutoring? We're going through a hard time in a place like Cameroon nowadays, where there's some kids back in the village or back in some communities who are not able to go to school. Has he offered to teach them maybe for a few reduce francs? If the class going to school costs like 200,000 a year, he might be teaching his students here or there for about maybe $30, 30 francs, 30,000 francs a month. Pick up about 3 or 4 or 5 students and go talk to them every hour. Teach them in that local community. Whatever their parents can gather, they'll pay you. We have to learn to create opportunities for ourselves instead of waiting. And again, it's not their fault because that's our society. We were taught to work for other people. Now is the time with the African trade free trade zone being created in Africa that's launching on the 1st of January. This is the best time for anybody who left school, for anybody who has any kind of skill. If you know how to wash clothes, go to homes, knock on doors and see if you can actually take people's clothes and wash them. Little things like that, and you build a franchise and a company out of those services. We're into the service industries. Leverage that. I'll give you an example. Many of us grew around parents, relatives who sold puff puff, beans, and pap to go to school, to send us to school. The challenge with that society being that way is the humble beginnings of that mother who was able to sponsor you with puff puff money and pap money and pepper soup money on the street. You go to school now, you study all these big things. There's no one coming back to elevate and enhance this mama's puff puff business. Who says you can't take that over? You can take that over. Mama already started the business for you. Just continue with that business and create generational wealth for you and your family. I really don't like speaking about business as a 60,000 foot level because we have so many opportunities at a very low level that we're all ignoring because we all want to work white collar jobs. We all want to go to places that we don't need to, or we all want to go sit in an office and be recognized with the windows near there. That's not what's going to help us move from one place to another. What's going to help us is us, the youth, teaching our youth, passing on the skills we have to our graduates, young graduates, so they can turn around and teach the younger ones on how to create opportunities for themselves.
This is Chat Night. Chat Night Africa from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. My name is Divine Chamukong, and Our guest this week is Lady Judith Fanget. Hold you when she starts to speak on business. I listen. Listen to her and thank me later. Here is a letter from Mr. Nkadvi Emmanuel Nchamukong. He writes, Judith, tell me, do you think our environment, I mean in Africa / Cameroon, is generally favorable for business?
I say yes to that. Yes to that doesn't mean we don't have challenges. Yes to that because, as with every society, we will have challenges. Unfortunately, in our society, the huge challenges we have are around our political atmosphere, corruption, and just in general, our economic atmosphere is not that favorable to many of our people. I want to say these are not challenges that cannot be overcome. All of these challenges can be overcome because the government is not your issue. The government doesn't stand between you and your talent or your skill. The government doesn't stand between you and your idea. Neither does the corruption. In order to have a corrupt environment, there needs to be a corruptee, right? So there are many situations in which you can actually, I don't want to say avoid it, but you can do business such that you don't encourage. Unfortunately, our African environments have no accountability. There is corruption in every other economy that you have out there. The difference with our economy and those other economies are that those other, I would say, the advanced communities have a lot more accountability structures set up for them than we would have in the emerging markets, right? So in a place like Africa and a place like I would say Latin America, in some of those countries, and Africa, our people are really, really distraught based on the high taxes. Again, you have taxes everywhere, corruption, the bribery and corruption that we have. What I say to those people is there are still some. I would say some microfinance companies, some consulting firms. This is one of those areas where we need to foster collaboration with some of those small firms that are setting up in order to mitigate or reduce the amount of impact that we have from all of this corruption. Some of them can do the whole business consultation for you, your analysis, all of that stuff, and make sure they understand what it is you want to do, help you through the process, offer you some funding wherever and whenever necessary, and make sure that you can do it. The challenge also is because of societal norms and our traditional ways of doing things, our people are not very good at accepting failure. Everybody wants to start a business and succeed at the first try. It's a great thing if you do. Some people do. But one of the things that comes with every business is failures. And those failures is not because there are no all those challenges, they come in there. Sometimes you go in there, maybe you didn't scale your business enough, and then the high taxes will cripple you. Maybe you didn't scale your business enough, and the talent or the skill that you have could not measure up to what the competition had out there. So there's going to be a lot of reasons that may cause you to fail. And I tell people, embrace the failures that you have those early days in business. Things like corruption, things like taxes, things like environmental factors, those are givens in any business that you have to factor in. So I will not go into a business or not do a business because there's going to be high taxes. You have to pay those taxes. The taxes are supposed to give you the roads and the infrastructure in the country that you need. Well, I know that it's not that way for most of our African countries, but we're getting there. Nowadays, with the globalization of how everything is working, your talent and your skill may not be relevant to the area in which you are, but you could actually sell it across. We have all mobile business. You can sit in Cameroon and do business across the continent. So we can't limit our skills only to the environment in which we are. If you can partner with other countries, with the African free trade that's coming up, this is the opportunity for everyone to prepare themselves so they can set themselves apart from everybody else. If you're someone who farms bird de karité in somewhere around the north there, if you're doing a lot of shea butter, produce it, do whatever it is. There's countries in Nigeria that need it who don't grow it. So this is our time to be creative instead of focusing on the things that are going to be a constant in any business in any country. So I would say conquer your fear and just factor in all those things, anticipate it, and then let's work on seeing how creative you can be for your business.
Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray!
Judith, you told this young man in Nigeria who is running around the streets, wondering what to do, where the next breakfast would come from,
Mm-hmm.
looking for jobs. And you said, you can sell water, you can get to your neighbors and wash clothes and earn some money.
Mm-hmm.
How can they do this in a way that grows that business? What are the skills that are required when you start at such low levels to become a big businesswoman, to become a big businessman?
Well, when you're starting out small, humility. You have to start there. Right now, they have nothing to lose, right? So if you sell the first bottle of water today, or you go and sit the wherever you buy your food, you go and ask the woman, can you help her out? If you know how to cook one or two things, you can go and say, you know what, I know how to make so and so. Can I make this and come and sell it to you and we can sell together? One of the things that we don't do very well in our community, especially African community, is we're not very good at partnering and we're not very good at fostering collaboration with each other. We are always sitting there and thinking that when you're money minded, you will not get your idea working for you. You have to make sure that money is not the primary reason you're doing whatever business you're doing. If you go in there to start doing what you say you love, or you go in there to start doing something that you are good at, you are bound to succeed. It may not work for the first 10 people, but go and do this 11th person. You can't stop at the first failure. You can't stop. Whenever you, I mean, life is, I'm not saying life has to be easy, but if you don't keep trying, you will not do it. As Thomas Edison said, after the 1001 bulb try is what gave us that last bulb, that light. Why would we stop at the first challenge? It's not easy. I say humility and business go hand in hand. When you have nothing to lose. So try the first one. After the 10th one, keep going, and keep going. You've got to fail. If you don't fail, you are not doing something correctly. So I would say just keep at it. Don't get discouraged. Keep at it. But learn to partner, learn to network. While he was at school, I'm sure he knew somebody at school who had some company or where he went and ate or that needed to be something to be cleaned somewhere. Search out for those opportunities and take advantage of the one where you have the skill for it.
Judith, on the show today, we'll try to speak to as many people as possible, people going through all kinds of hardships. Here is one category. So many families go through issues like divorce or death,
Mhm.
and so have trouble making ends meet. Judith, what practical steps can they take to starting a small or medium-sized business?
So that's a very good point you just raised. Many of us, even those who are working, are one step away or one paycheck away from being homeless, one paycheck away from um, not having a meal. We have to teach our families and our friends about multiple sources of income. And when I say multiple sources of income, one could be your regular day job. One of the things that we don't realize is it's often said time is money. You're giving 8 hours of your time to someone else. What would it take for you to use 2 hours during the evening or whatever you have a spare time in between your job and your bedtime or your job and your workouts or whatever else it is you're doing in life? What would it cost you just to take an hour or two for your own life to learn a skill, to go out there and learn about what some other opportunities out there for you? I'll give you an example. I believe one of the best things I have learned in recent years is how to do network marketing. You know, many of us come to the US, and I think there's even network marketing for many of the products that we sell in Africa as well. Many of us, the very first thing that many of us tell our friends is if we're doing something in network marketing is I don't want to do that your pyramid scheme thing. If it's that's a pyramid thing, I don't want to do it. What we fail to realize, everything we are doing, everything we're consuming, everything we're touching, buying, selling is a network marketing. And we're sitting there and dismissing an opportunity for ourselves because, in some ways, our mentality and our mindset thinks if they join this network marketing, you're going to be making me rich. And you don't want your dollar to make me rich. Richard Branson says one thing. He says, if someone offers you an incredible opportunity and you're not sure about you wanting to take it, learn about the opportunity, learn about it, just say yes to it, learn about it, and go and improve yourself. What that simply means is that all opportunities that you're presented on this earth have potential. If they didn't have potential, they won't be telling you about it. Somebody has succeeded on it. So if you don't have something you're working on, you're not creative about what it is you're doing, you're not even putting to practice the things that you are skilled on, why would you then deny somebody else's opportunity that they gave you? If you were prepared and the opportunity shows up, that's how you succeed. So the one thing that really stops us is the way we were raised. We were raised to work every day, go and put in time for somebody. And then we don't want to do anything outside of that time that we're putting in for that person. Right. And so when you don't give yourself, your own self, the 1 hour or 2 hours time, how do you hope to succeed? You're putting in time to grow somebody else's business, and you're not putting in time to develop yourself, nor grow your own business. There's no recipe for success that does not allow you to work, be consistent on what you're doing, and keep trying until you succeed. If you don't succeed, you've not tried hard enough. We are all in the business of trying. So we cannot sit here and say, what do you mean we are all struggling? No one should struggle. If you can read, you can study something that you know. If you have hands, feet, and your brain, you can sell your expertise to somebody. Foster
Here is
collaboration.
here is a question from Dr. Colette Ngante. Can you talk on how someone can turn their passion into a
Oh,
business?
yes, yes. That's my favorite topic. Yes. You turn your, if your passion, if you feel like you're, okay, there's two ways I look at passion. So I always say, look at your passion and ask yourself, is that passion of yours solving a problem? Because there's two kinds of passions. There's the kind of passion that will solve a problem, and the kind of passion that is new to people, and you literally have to introduce that passion to people. So if your passion is one of those things, I'll give you, for example, art. Art is a passion for some people, right? So if your passion is in arts, for example, it's not, I don't want to say art doesn't solve a problem, because art is very therapeutic for some people who need it. It's beautiful. It enhances our culture. It does all the things that we need it to do, right? However, if at the depending on the environment, the time, and what's going on in the world, if that's really your passion and you want to make money on it, what I would suggest you do is you look for a niche that is interested in certain things. If your art is into African culture, and you definitely would go into an area or museum area, and then you start drawing. You draw things and you introduce it to some people. Oh, there's my art out here. You put it on social media, you take a picture of it and you display it somewhere, and you say, you know what? This is my art picture. Do you like it? You give it to as many friends as possible. You find some network marketing people. You foster collaboration with somebody who's already in a business of, let's say, social media and marketing. You network with them. You say, I'll give you an art free. You have to learn how to sell. You have to learn how to market yourself. You have to step outside of your comfort zone and do things you would otherwise not have done. Having the passion is one thing. Executing on your passion is another thing, because your passion is nobody else's. For someone to appreciate your passion, they've got to see what you're doing with it. So I would encourage you to do what you're passionate about, because then, as they say, it will not feel like it is work. But even when you're doing what is your passion, you have to market it. You have to put it out there. You have to step out of your comfort zone and do things that you were not otherwise comfortable with in the past. So everything works. You have to conquer that fear. I think some Grace put it out there, fear of the unknown. And Grace, you're absolutely right. You've got to take that risk. You've got to step out. If you don't start it today, you will never know how great you would have become.
Here's what I
Never.
read somewhere. And the more I read, the more I realize how little I knew. I read somewhere,
No.
Judith,
Yes.
that your comfort zone is beautiful, it's comfortable. You just don't grow there. I love that.
Mm-mm.
Judith, tell me, I'm in awe listening to you. How do you get past this fear of the unknown? Because I think
What?
that's what is keeping people in a lot in their comfort zones.
Let me relate it to our community. And I want to be specific to the Cameroonian community. Not and this is applicable across the continent of Africa. We do for others, we do for other people, we seek other people's approval and not our own. So one of the people I admire the most in the business world is Gary Vaynerchuk. If you know him, please look him up. Gary will tell you right then and then. If you share something with him and you say, this is what, like, he says, so what's stopping you? What's stopping you? You know what stops us? We're worried about what the next person thinks. I used to be that person. I used to be that person who would not say anything. I will not share my opinion. I will not do the things that I wanted to do because I was so worried of not fitting a particular picture of somebody. We need to cut that out of our environment. There's a difference between stepping out of your comfort zone and doing things that will be beneficial to you, and literally being obnoxious, rude, and showing pride elsewhere, useless pride. There's a difference, huge difference between that and that. You're humble, step out. One thing is, the reason people don't step out of their comfort zone is because I'm afraid that I'm going to be a mess. I'm afraid that I'm going to fail. I'm afraid that people are going to think I stink at what I do. Yeah, so what? So what? Go and do it. So what?
Judith Fang and we have a pipe burst of comments. I'm reading them online, and those that I find are questions I need to bring to you, I will put them on the screen. Meanwhile, you can now dial the number 240-603-7367. I repeat, 240-603-7367. If you disagree with Judith or you want to ask her a question, by all means do. We're not
I
running a
welcome the
one-party. We're not
disagreement.
running a one-party democracy here where people send only motions
Mhm,
of support. Judith, many people work from 9 to 5. That's from morning to evening, 5 o'clock, they go
mhm,
home, but
mhm.
would like to find some sources of income. What's your advice to them? I told you that we'll be addressing different categories of people across the continent of Africa and even the United States.
There's a multitude of ways people can do things. Amongst us, I know there's just looking at some of the questions, looking at some of the people on here, there's a multitude of talent. I'll tell you where. Let me give you an example, just a simple example. I like to use my example of Cameroonians can cook, right? We're some of the best cooks in the world. And across Africa, there's other countries that are really, really great cooks. My problem with all of us being such great cooks is we're all cooking in our homes and we're not eating out as much, right? And we're not sharing the skills with people out there as much. Small things. If you're good at making, the person who's good at making Kwakoko Bible, for example, that person, if there's an occasion, outsource your Kwakoko Bible making. Give it to the caterer. Go partner with some caterer who's doing it. Let's say the White House in Douala. Go to the White House in Douala. Instead of having them cook the whole thing, you partner with them. You guys come up with a contracted rate and you say, you know what, I'm going to make you Kwakoko, blah, blah, blah. You guys come up with the contract or whatever it is, and you provide them Kwakoko for whatever their events are. Our problem is we're not networking enough. We're not collaborating enough. So we don't know, first of all, we don't understand how to fulfill the needs and the problems that are out there. So we have to make sure that, for number one, get out of our comfort zones. As Colette, I think, pointed out earlier, understand what your passion is. Number two, if you don't know what you're passionate about, find out what you've been doing for years that you're good at. And again, many of us work for companies that have taught us some skills. I go work Monday 9 to 5. When you come back from school when you come back from work 9 to 5, is there a kid around you could tutor? Are there some other Cameroonians you could teach a thing or two to? Do you have some people who need some jobs? Can you do some housekeeping and cleaning during the weekend? Do you know that all you have to do is clean one house on Saturday, and then you get, if you start getting a lot of customers, you clean another house on Sunday, and before you know it, you have two houses every weekend that you clean. That's your one extra source of income. Okay, then you make, my mom used to make, my mom taught us how to make chin chin, plantain chips, cakes. We used to cater for parties when we were in Cameroon. So she'll just bring a whole bundle of things. We learned, after we know how to cook those things, go and partner with a boulangerie. Can we provide you the plantain chips? You have to go through their criteria of how they want the packaging, how they want all the stuff, and then you provide it. You make a cent here or there. I'm at this point in my life, I'm learning from a friend of mine, a classmate of mine. I'm also learning how to do fulfilling by Amazon here because I'm here. I'll tell them another thing they can do for those who are in Africa. Ovamba. I keep mentioning Ovamba. The reason I mentioned Ovamba is because I do take into consideration the fact that we may not have enough infrastructure that's set up, enough, again, corrupt nature in the country may not allow some people to really go out of their comfort zone. But there are small business firms, microfinance firms, fintech firms that are doing some big things for people out there. Depending on what kind of business and the consumer product you want to put out there, some of these companies will work with you. Agriculture. Many of us don't know that if you have a garden behind your house, you can do lots of gardening and then go partner with a warehouse, a common warehouse, and provide these goods over there, or you find out somebody who can do the freezing for you. Health wise, if you are there are many of us who are teachers as well as nurses. You go, when you work during the daytime, you partner, you do some things. You can maybe do a small clinic in a license, go work like in an urgent care somewhere around your neighborhood. Guess what? You cannot relax if you don't have enough income coming in. Teach your kids. Many of us have businesses that our kids have not taken over. I mentioned the part about the puff puff. Let me mention another thing. We all know some of our most most entrepreneurial communities are Bamileke people. Again, this is not a tribal issue, but these are the people who are like amongst the most entrepreneurial in the country. These people for years have owned kinkileries, right, which is hardware stores and things like that. For years, these are the only people doing it. But there's construction happening all over the country. Learn from one of them. We don't trust each other. There's not enough competition in the country. And then when these businessmen die, they don't teach these businesses to their children. And guess what? When they pass away, businesses fall. If there's no one to buy the business falls. So we need to be learning these skills from our parents, doing business with these skills, taking over businesses so we can build multi-generational wealth for our communities. Then we have families doing what families have been doing for years in other countries. You have family, let's say the Kraft family. They've had the businesses for years, for almost a century now. We need to be building such brands in Africa.
Chat Night Africa.
Gail,
This is Gael
Gail
Gemo.
feels so.
Yeah, Gael
Gail, I
Gemo
know
in
you lost.
London.
Yes, so
That,
Gail lost money.
yeah, Gael said, I have tried once and lost money. I'm scared of doing it again. However, I'm still interested. How can I motivate myself to do it again? I think, I guess the question in a broader sense, Judith, is when you try and fail, where do you go bring the courage to try again, to
You
invest your money again? That's,
you
in
have
essence, the
to.
question.
That's that comfort zone. What makes you think you will not fail again? So you have to try again. One time is not it. One time. However, I'm not asking you to go back in there and dump in that kind of money like you did. Yeah, you've learned a lesson the first time. So maybe you shouldn't invest with as much money the second time around, right? But pick it, do it a little bit safer. Build up on what you learned from the first time of failing. I'm sure you learned a lesson there or two. What was it in your previous business that failed? Was it the lack of trust, or was it the lack of skill? Was it the lack of talent? Was it the business idea that failed? Was it a lack of you didn't do your marketing properly? What did you fail in the last time? And if you want to go back and try the same business again, maybe you should try this time with another tactic. You can't stop because you failed one time. Please, we need to encourage each other. Keep going. But however, be smart about how you're going to go into it again. Don't spend as much money. Maybe don't put in as much money as you did this time. Maybe you should partner up with somebody instead. Maybe you should reduce or scale down a little bit on the business you tried in the first time and then grow from it.
Here is a question from Limbe in Malawi. It's not a mistake I'm making. Limbe is a city in Malawi, not only in Cameroon.
Mhm.
When a lot of people retire from working for government, they delve into small business ventures. Do you have a word for them, Judith?
They don't have to wait till they retire. They could have started that while they were still working. I don't know what the issue is with having to retire first. You start building that business while you're working. If your government work is, you only work certain hours. As far as I know, government work everywhere in the world. It's like the work that allows you more time to do something else. So after you spend the 8 hours not doing it, sorry guys, after you spend the 8 hours with the government, you come home now and you do your own business. You don't have to wait till retirement. Start it small. You may not have to blow it all out because you're still working, but start small. You have to give yourself 1 to 2 hours on a daily basis for your own business. You get paid for your time elsewhere. Pay yourself for your own time. That's all I would advise.
Across Africa, Judith Fang, are small associations where people contribute money and take turns in collecting the lump sum. In Cameroon, it's called Njangi or Tongti. It has different names in different villages. In some West African countries, Liberia, Sierra Leone, it's called Osusu or Susu. What's your advice, Judith, for a member who picks up a package and wants to indulge into business? How do you determine what business line is profitable? That is the key in all that statement.
I don't know you can tell somebody what business line is profitable. I don't think that's the right approach to anything. The person needs to know what they want to do. They need to have an idea of what, again, somebody mentioned passion in the beginning. They need to have an idea of what it is they want to do. They have to have some semblance of a plan, whether it's written on a piece of paper or in some elaborate document. They need to have that plan. They needed to have done their market surveys. They needed to have known what they would start off, what their niche market would have been. They needed to know how they'll scale into it and a plan on how they'll have some return on their investment. No amount of money given to you on day 7 would prepare you for what you should have taken care of on day 1. You should have, if you give the person the money on day 7 and they have no plan, they will not go anywhere. They'll still be right where they are. So they better go invest their money in something else. However, I just want to encourage people all the time, always be prepared for some opportunity, because you have, if you're even interested, remotely interested in any kind of business, money is not going to be the differentiator between you and your success. No, it is the plan of action. It is the motivation that you would have to do whatever that business is, especially if it's solving a problem. If you're not solving a problem, you're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter how much you're passionate about that. If people don't need what you're offering, you're not going to sell it. So make sure what you're offering is needed and it's taking care of a current issue in the society. And then when the money comes in there, the money should be there to scale you up or provide you more skill and or talent or production for whatever it is that you have to offer. I always tell people money is not the difference between you and your business. It is capital, and funding is only what you need to fund an idea or fund a process or scale up your business. If you don't have those things up in place, you're not going to go anywhere. If I don't know how to make shea butter, I don't know how to grow it, I don't know how to do all the things that are required for shea butter production, no matter the amount of money you give me, I'm not going to go anywhere. You're still going to have to pay somebody to do that. Again, had you factored that in, that's something you want to think about.
Here
So
is a
there's many
question.
ways you can look at it.
Here's a question from Charles Anchang. The question reads, Judith, how do you find qualified employees?
Oh, yeah. So finding qualified employees, okay, in us, it's different from one area to another. Our educational system back home, it's very interesting how he asked the question. He said employees. I don't believe in employees. I believe in talent. So it depends on what skill you're looking for. You'd have to go into the environment and you have to see whether the educational system that they have in there. And then you have to ask yourself too, are you willing to do some training? Are there facilities? Are there structures that can train people to have the kind of talents that you're looking for, or the skills that you're looking for in the said business that you want to set up? So you find good talent and good skilled workers based on your ask. So if you're in the communication business, one of the things I'd suggest is going to a journalism school. Are you taking in some interns into those schools? Because many people, no matter what you say, people will learn on the job. Until they come to your business, nobody knows how to do everything guaranteed 100% the way you want them to. But if they have potential and they're in an environment where it's teaching them on what to do, you can actually resource those skills and that talent from those employees. So, as an example, Charles, I think I know you're in the communication space, or you would go to like a journalism school. You would go to an area where there are kids who are interested in doing things like journalism. You find a different in marketing, business areas. You have to know who these people are, and then let them have a vested interest in their own skills and what they want to do. And then we have to change the marketing model or the training models in Africa nowadays to put some kind of accountability back onto the skill talents that we're doing. Offer them opportunities that really see them growing and being potential owners, potential partners, potential people who would succeed and take your business further. So we have to make sure that we're sharing some of these responsibilities and then offer some training as well.
Actually, the second and very important segment to this broadcast has to do with people who are now not at the beginning stage, they are actually doing business. Judith, you have started business. You had the business idea. You had the business mindset. What does it take to survive in this very rough and rugged terrain of competition?
Hard work, consistency, motivation obviously has to be there. But one of the things you have to do very often is, obviously, before you started your business, you had a plan. You have to do an occasional, depending on the nature of your business, you have to do an occasional SWOT analysis. You have to see where your strengths are coming from in your business. You have to see what is selling well, what product or service are you doing, what is selling well, and should you enhance that product sales in there. You have to see where your opportunities are. Do you have some areas of opportunities where you can grow? Do you see some areas that are lacking, or a skill that is needed in a particular area that you need to improve on? You have to take advantage of that. Or is the environment or the market offering you an opportunity to maybe change the product, or maybe scale it up some one way or another, or offer a different line? So if you're already in business, you should be able to identify some of the opportunities that are coming up. Then you do also do quick note. You have to make mental notes, or you have to make actual formal assessments of what the weaknesses of your company are. So my problem is sometimes people don't sit back and evaluate it. I think you talked about money earlier on. If you put in a lot of money into one area of your business and that business area is not doing well, is it a matter of training? Is it a matter of not supply and demand? You're not forecasting enough. You're not estimating well enough, or you did not plan enough, or you did not do a market survey. Your marketing survey analysis is not working out right the way you did it. What's the return on some of the things that you're doing? So you have to look at where you're losing bleeding money. Is your pricing too high? Is your are you is your turnover for your employees too high? If you have, because obviously if you're established business, in some cases you may have employees. Is your turnover too high? All of that stuff, you have to make sure that the risks you're taking are sensible enough and scale to the business that you're actually doing at that time. And then you also have to look at some of the threats that you're facing, right? Again, we're in a very volatile economic environment at this time. Election might be an issue for you. The stock markets will tell you that elections have nothing to do with it. What's the political climate where you are? Is the weather a threat to you? What kind of business are you in? Will the weather impact you in what you're doing? So you have to do an occasional SWOT analysis on your business and shake up things and scale them as you need to, as time goes on. Sometimes you might need to actually ask for more funding so that you can be more productive in what you're offering. Other times you might need to maybe scale back and do some cost effective measures to ensure that you're not losing money in areas that you can actually avoid, and you can increase sales and or growth in other areas that are much needed. So all businesses, no matter the size, will need to scale up or down depending on where they are, and they'll need to do some self evaluation every once in a while. It could be periodically, or it could be as the threats and opportunities present themselves.
Judith Fang. Judith, this is what Gael Gamo in London says. How would you deal with breach of contract? You know they have sold stuff you supplied, yet they say they haven't sold it because you are overseas. I'm going to extend the question to read like this. Is it advisable to be overseas, whether in Europe or the United States, and have business done on your behalf in Cameroon or in Africa? Do you have to be there? Would you advise it? Would you do it,
Yeah.
Judith?
Yes and no. Yes, to certain kinds of businesses, you absolutely have to be present for your business, right? So if you're not going to engage a renowned company, unfortunately, our environment, this is the one thing that really is a little bit of a blocker for most people. Sending money back home, getting a relative or somebody to actually run your business or do the work that you want them done for you abroad. The challenge that we have there is the structure, our legal structure back in Africa, and most especially Cameroon. I would speak to that country for the most part because I think there's some accountability options in other African countries that I'm not fully versed in, but they do exist. In Cameroon, for example, our legal structure is not set up such that you can actually have accountability for someone who does a breach of contract. We have the laws and everything, but the difference between Cameroon and a place like the United States or the UK is that if someone does not, if someone breaches a contract that you have, there's if there's the setup, there's the structure set up here where they can actually make those they can actually enforce the legalities of those contracts. Unfortunately for Cameroon and some other countries, even though we have those legalities in place, they are not enforceable. That is the challenge that we have in an African country. However, over here, there's a few companies, as an example, Ovamba is one of them, that would work with you, the person, to license, to do your analysis, to actually do even the breach of contracts, and in many cases would actually absorb most of those. So there's a few companies that are actually being set up now in the African space, in the African market space, that can take care of some of these legalities and make it a lot safer for most people to do business in Africa. So all is not lost, and please, the fear of the unknown and the breach of contracts, all of this is going to come to an end. But at the same time, our people have to start building trust with each other. There's not enough competition for all of us. We really have to make sure that we can work together.
Here is a statement from Theo Dankwa. He is from Ghana.
Yeah.
And Theo says, I think actually he wants you to address the issue of customer service. Because apparently across Africa, there is the problem of customer service.
Yes.
Business owners behave as though customers are doing them a favor. How do you, is customer service a problem in business? And if yes, how do you actually tune up your customer service to be that which magnets customers to your business?
Unfortunately for business owners, the customer is absolutely always right. Not because the customer cannot do some strange things, but the customer is who you live for. However, if you set up the right structures, you set up the right businesses, and you put up the right talent, and you teach them to serve your customers, you will run into fewer problems with your customer service than needed. That is what the African business owner is struggling to understand at this point in time. What they don't understand is single-handedly, when I talked of analysis, or when I talked of SWOT, when I talked of all the opportunities, the strengths, every weaknesses that a business could have, one of the biggest things that they can benefit from is customer feedback. It is the difference maker in your business, especially if you are a customer facing company. If you don't treat your customer with respect and make it feel like you are in existence because they are your customers, you will not make. That's why you can have people pay tons and tons of money for products that are nowhere near the quality of what you deserve, because the customer service was over the top. So I plead with most of our African business owners, whatever you do, if you are running a business, you, for starters, you must be as transparent, you must be as clean and clear and crisp with your customers, but you must be very, very customer centric and very, 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 very polite. Put up training aspects for it. If they don't buy or your service or product, you are not going to be in business. Every feedback from a customer is potentially the difference between you becoming a success and not. In business, it's often said, if you do something terrible to a business, to a customer, if you don't serve them well, they tell 10 people. If you serve a customer well, they tell only 3 people. Do the math. Who speaks more? Who will bring you down more?
Dr. Khaled Ngante says, thank you, Judith. As a business owner of a mental health clinic, I am learning a ton from you.
No
Wow.
worries.
I have known Judith for a while. And when I told you from the start, when this woman starts talking business, listen, I have my notebook here. I don't know what name, a business guy. Thank you so much, Judith. We're not going away yet. How do you handle complaining customers? You say customers are always right.
Mm-hmm.
Are there situations you have unreasonable customers?
Yes, you
And
will
how do you handle
always have.
them?
Their feedback is you have to acknowledge your customer no matter what they say. If they're the only thing I always tell people is, and you tell it to them in this particular way, if it's a situation of confrontation or where there's exposure to other clients and other things in the marketplace or in your business area, you want to make sure you de-escalate the situation as fast as possible. You never want a situation that can be controlled or not can be avoided to reach the heights of whatever it is. So you have to train your employees, train your staff, even yourself, to get a control of yourself and acknowledge the customer no matter what their complaint is or their feedback is. Acknowledge them at the very least, even if you cannot offer them what it is they need at that particular time. Please give them a timeline of when you would tell them, I have noted it. Take your name, show personal accountability for whatever the customer is asking you for, and then give them a time, find out their contacts or the best way to reach them, and then tell them you will be getting back to them. No matter what, give them a timeline so they can work with it. And I kid you not, even if you don't have the response to that person's inquiry, make sure you respond to them within the time that you gave, the time frame that you gave them. But all customer complaints must be acknowledged. All customer complaints must, even if you're not going to solve it, you have to give them an option. You have to let them know you understand, and you have to give them what your next steps will be. You never want a situation where the customer is in control and at your business place and actually turns a situation that can be totally avoided into a chaotic environment. So your staff at all situations must learn to de-escalate situations and acknowledge what it is the customer is saying. They don't need to resolve it. They just need to acknowledge it first and then take follow up from there. Follow up is extremely critical, especially for those customers who are the biggest complainers. Those may be your most loyal customers in the future, depending on how you handle that particular instance.
I learned from somewhere, Judith, that usually customers are not negative about the business because something wrong happened. They are angry about the process of resolving that problem. You
Yes,
want to
and
comment on that?
yes, that's absolutely true. And again, remember, if you get a customer who's complaining, that customer actually cares for your business because they really do want to offer you the opportunity to improve on it. So that's why they're
I like
complaining.
that.
They're not complaining. If they're not complaining, it means they're going and telling somebody else not to come back to your business. So my thing is, if they complain to you, acknowledge them. And yes, they're mad about how the process is. That's why I say you always have to acknowledge the customer. You always have to give them a timeline of when you're going to follow up. You always have to make sure you follow that same timeline of follow up. And you always want to make sure that you have different steps as to how you address the different situations. But your customer with feedback, be it negative or positive, is your best and most loyal customer.
I want to say one more time, if you want to dial into the show, the number is 240-603-7367. 240-603-7367. Let's talk a little bit about feedback, because you cannot fix what you don't know is broken. What are some of the best ways of receiving feedback at your business place?
Oh, there's a ton of ways. So if you walk into some businesses, sometimes you would see people where they have call this number. They might post a number to say, call us, tell us about the service. Or you see even on receipts, sometimes they'll put things like, give us your feedback. Or they would put a little suggestion box on the side of the business or something, or they'll give a number, whatever it is. But you have to have one or two or three ways in which people can reach out. A corporate number, maybe a corporate email, and your employees or yourself, you have to be very willing to let them know, let us know how we can serve you better in many ways, different formats, however you do it. It could be even on the mat. If you own a restaurant and things like that, you could actually really put on there, mark, give us your feedback and things like that. So there's a multitude of ways in which you can actually request customer feedback afterwards. And then you could also have, how do you call it, arbitrary companies call them, for feedback, and mystery shoppers could also do the same thing. And or you could also have people, you know, just managers walking around and asking them, oh, everything okay? There's many ways. You just have to
What
be
do you call mystery
personable.
shoppers?
A mystery shopper is someone, let's say a company would hire a particular firm or a particular people, right, to go and do business with their companies so that they can do business as someone, let's say, if I'm an airline company and I hire a mystery shopper, that person will purchase an airline ticket. That person will make sure they write a note and a commentary or certain number of notes on all the experience when they purchased that airline ticket, how the service was, if it was timely, how the agent worked with them, if the food was good on the plane, and the whole 9 years. So it's just people coming into your business or calling into your businesses to assess your business and give you feedback on what they think your business, how they think your business is doing.
While we wait for anyone who wants to dial into the show, um, I'm going to ask for a last word. Even though I'm asking for your last word, if anybody has a question, by all means, dial in 240-603-7367. Let me see. I see a ton of comments that people are coming. I mean, all right, let's see what Mr. Dankwa says. I'm going to put that on the screen. He says, "So gloomy faces drive away customers." On this note, however, there is the tendency for business owners to be discreet and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's right.
discreet, calm, and respectful to those who bring the money, and more money would come as a result. What's
He's
your
right.
comment on Mr. Theo Dankwa's statement, ma'am?
He's absolutely right. So that comment is very relevant depending on where we are and things like that. So all businesses, obviously, you need to have make sure that your employees or your staff is friendly, they're open, they're welcoming, they're acknowledging customers as they walk in. You know, they're not sitting in there, as you said, making it look like you owe them money and that's why they're coming to your business, right? So and then again, because depending on the nature of your business, right? You do have hotel businesses, for example, where to be discreet is absolutely to this different businesses have different natures of how they need to be run, right? Some businesses require that everything, I mean, with the medical facilities, the HIPAA laws, you have to make sure that you're following all the HIPAA laws. And then if it's the emergency room, for example, you have to follow EMTALA. And again, it may be EMTALA for the United States and places like that, but other places they have rules that say if no matter who the customer is, you have to treat them well, respectfully, and all that stuff, and smile and make them open, make them feel welcome, and serve them in every way possible. Some businesses require that when you're dealing with a particular customer, you pull them aside and you do certain things. Hotel industry, you can't have a wife call a hotel and say, "Can I speak to my husband?" No, you can't just do that. You know, there's protocol and things to follow. Just because you're married to somebody, you never know. Business is business. You respect the customer you are working with. The one on the phone, you have to follow the rules. It's just a lot of things that go with different kinds of
What
businesses, right?
what what is there that can be done by business owners to make employees more
Training,
productive?
training, training, encouragement. They have to feel like they are part owners. Any company that makes its employees feel like they're part owners and their work. Because remember that your first customer is your staff.
What do you
If
mean
you
by
don't
that?
treat your Yes, if you do not treat your staff with respect and treat them well, how do you expect them to treat your customer well? Your first customer is your employees, and your colleagues. After your colleagues and your employees, then the other customers. I don't believe in the customer is not only the person who comes and spends the money in there. The customer is the person you work with. The customer is the person you talk to on the phone. The customer is anyone who interacts with you is your customer. So you have to be very friendly, very amicable, very just be pleasant at all times, especially if you own the business. Treat your employees with respect, treat them with grace, teach them the service, let them know they matter. Because part of the reasons is sometimes we walk around like we own the whole world. Yes, you're paying their paycheck, but if they were not selling for you or doing for you, you won't have that paycheck. So, yes, you're offering them an opportunity, but they're also doing you a service. So, be nice to them. They'll be nice to your customers.
Here is a text I've just received to my phone. Judith, the people that ruined my business were my family members. Would you employ your family members to work for you?
Well, my family members, if I employ them, they'll be signing a contract like every other employee that's out there. Family is not good for business, period. If you're doing business, they follow all the same guidelines as every other employee. If you pay $10 for a job, you pay that employee $10 for a job. It's as simple as that. If they don't want to adhere to that, then they go find work somewhere else. And you guys can be family at home when you come home.
Now I'm going to ask for your last word. Your last word,
So,
Judith, before we go.
oh, my last word is when we talk about business, my folks in Africa, we have an opportunity, especially across the world and across the globe. Anyone who would like to do business in Africa, we have an opportunity to shine. We are some of the best, if not the best, in almost all the areas of work, business, education, you name it. There's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be at the top of our game when it comes to business. Take every opportunity that you're given, explore it, try it. Don't fear failure. Step out of your comfort zone as much as you can. It is extremely important that we work on ourselves first before we start working with other people. So we do that. Let's learn about the different things we are passionate about. Let's train our kids to learn, be entrepreneurial, pass on generational wealth, all the skills. Teach your kids about stock markets. Teach your kids about how ways to invest. Teach your kids about the different skills we need to learn. Agrotechnology, we need to be able to own our own firms. We need to be able to do for ourselves and not be working for other people. It's a great thing to work for other people, but we need to learn how to use other people's money to come and improve on our own selves, right? Don't lessen up on how much effort you're doing for others. Just use that skill, use that talent, bring it back to ours. Don't have a mentality of entitlement. Our community it feels like they're too entitled and they're too big and above and beyond to do certain jobs. No job is too small. Everything is so important. Dangote is as wealthy as he is off of daily consumer products that you and I use: sugar, cement, little things, rice. We should be able to do all of that for ourselves. We should be able to make sure that we can be self sufficient. If you start that from in the household, you should be able to carry those skills and actually sell it somewhere else. We have to learn to trust each other. We have to learn to collaborate and partner with each other. We have to go out there and see what firms are out there, microfinance companies, tech companies. We have to be accountable for the things that we're doing, work with them so that we can develop ourselves even better. And anytime we can provide exposure to anybody else's business, support each other's businesses. You lose nothing when you support another person's business. You lose nothing when you try to do businesses for yourself. So I encourage all of us, try something new, step out of your comfort zone, be the best that you can be. We are all in this struggle together. We have to get better. When you know better, you do better. Thank you.
Wow. Judith, thank you. I'd be the one to thank you. You've been phenomenal. Anyway, it doesn't surprise me. I told my friends who are watching this broadcast, and this will be shared so many times. I'm going to run share this broadcast to so many people that when Judith starts talking on business, it's like a pipe bursts of water gushing out. It's flushing out. It's just so much information. Thank you so much, Judith.
Thank you.
We really, really appreciate you. This is one of the things we do. People like you will bring people, knowledgeable people like you, to come and share. I receive letters every day from different African countries. We want to do business, and their whole idea of doing business is send money first. I'm sure that they have learned a great deal from you. I also want to thank the people who've been texting questions. I can assure you that Judith will be in the green room in the next few days. She's a very, very busy person, but I can assure you that she will find time to respond to some of your questions. Judith, you've been so impressive on the show tonight. How can you be contacted? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you that question.
That's fine. That's fair. So I do own a consulting firm, but I give you all my handles on social media so you can reach out to me. I am on Facebook as Mbong4C, and I think you can you feel free to put that out there. I also have two pages on Facebook that I run. I run one for my Silver Lining Therapeutics, which is health and wellness business that I do as well. I have one which is Silver Lining with Judith, where I do host a few chats with some people for global influencers as well as leaders in their communities for different things. And then I also on Instagram, you can find me at Silver Lining with Judith. And then on YouTube, you can find me with Silver Lining with Judith. So on Twitter, I'm there as Judith Fang. So that's fine.
Thank you, Judith. And that has been Judith Fang. We appreciate you for coming on the program this week, Judith.
Thank you.
That's Chat Night Africa. And we appreciate all of you who have been online watching this broadcast from all over the world. Chat Night. We want to thank all of the people who have been supporting materially towards the construction, the building of this platform to look like what it is. Chat Night Africa. Thank you for watching. Share this broadcast with your friends and family. Chat Night Africa is broadcast from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. I am your host, Divine Chamukang. Thank you again. Merci à tout le monde. Merci à tout le monde. Thank you.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming. Coming to get down. I'm coming. I'm coming. Coming to dance. To dance. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance. We're gonna get down. We're gonna get down. We're gonna party. Party hardy. We're gonna boogie, boogie woogie, and when we jam, it's out of sight. This song right here, it's dynamite. I'm ready.